Progress Test 3, Part B, Audio 1.
On this week's podcast, I'm talking to Ian Black, who's an expert on reforestation. Ian, can we start by defining reforestation?
Sure. So I'm sure your listeners are familiar with the concept of deforestation. Well, reforestation is the opposite of that. So it involves restoring woods and forests that have disappeared. The trees have usually been cut down for their wood, or to create space for planting other species of trees, like Christmas trees in some European and North American countries. Reforestation is a relatively modern idea, which received attention when the World Economic Forum announced a project in 2020 to plant 1 trillion trees around the world. It should be noted, though, that China had actually started its own replanting projects in the 1970s.
And why has there been more global interest in recent years?
In some countries, reforestation projects have been used to manipulate the geography of the area. For example, in China, the Great Green Wall project involved planting a 4,500-kilometre-long barrier of trees with the aim of limiting the spread of the Gobi Desert. However, projects like the 1 Trillion Trees initiative are intended to reduce the effects of climate change. As you probably know, trees are very good at absorbing carbon dioxide, which is one of the main greenhouse gases. In fact, it's estimated that they take in 3 billion tonnes of carbon dioxide per year. That's the equivalent of 30% of human-made carbon emissions. The theory is that if there's a significant enough increase in the number of trees on the planet, we could slow down or even stop global warming.
That's amazing. And it's good for conservation as well, isn't it?
Exactly, because reforestation helps to protect fragile forest ecosystems. We need to remember that until around 2,000 years ago, 80% of Western Europe was covered in forests, but that figure now stands at 34%. As a result of that decrease, plant and animal species have been disappearing at an alarming rate. Increasing the amount of forested land is beneficial to the conservation of threatened species by providing them with suitable habitats.
And how is reforestation carried out?
There's a range of approaches, some of which are commercial, while others are non-profit. By way of example, one non-profit project based in the United States works with communities in developing countries to select seeds and grow and plant trees. They're doing impressive work, and the figures are staggering, with millions of trees being planted every month. They're also aware of the need to protect the trees from the threat of illegal logging and forest fires. Getting local communities involved brings a personal investment to the project and subsequently a greater incentive to guarantee its success.
This all sounds great, but are there any downsides?
Well, unfortunately, it's not quite as straightforward as just planting a load of trees. For one thing, reforestation requires a lot of land, which could be used for farming or housing. As developing countries can't be held responsible for climate change, they may be reluctant to give up valuable residential and agricultural land. Not only that, but there are also environmental risks linked to reforestation. For example, in 2022, a huge fire destroyed around 14,000 hectares of forested land in northern Spain. It took place on the site of a major reforestation project which had been carried out by a commercial organisation. Caused by a tree planting machine, the disaster led to criticism of such initiatives. I wouldn't say these are reasons to stop reforestation, but it shows that it's more complicated than simply planting trees.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Ian.